What's up guys, Josh, Linda's Flowers, trying to do the preservation video part 2. So in the first video, pretty epic fail. Pretty much all of my remedies to preserve any flowers were pretty bad. And so trying to go about it a little bit different. I did a little bit of research. These were some products that I came up with because what I ran into in my last video was all of the moisture in the flowers were basically causing problems later in the preservation process. So coming up with this is a flower drying silica gel crystals. So you put this in there, the flower's supposed to dry out first, and then you do an epoxy resin, one that doesn't have a heated chemical reaction, and then also some silicone boxes to put this in. So you're not gonna end up with a perfectly preserved, rounded bouquet that looked like the day you got married. However, we can dry some flowers individually and make like a little piece that's going to go on a coffee table or some bookends. I saw somebody maybe made like a little jewelry out of them. Not gonna get that creative with it, but I at least wanted to try it this way. We'll go through the process of it, again with very little research on it, to see kind of, if you were doing this at home, what this might look like for you when it's all said and done. So we're gonna get into that process now. All right, so what I've got here is just a random container that I found here. What they're asking for is a sealed container. So I don't have a lid for this, so what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna tape the top on them all said and done, just to guarantee a really nice seal on it. So what I'm gonna start with is cutting this open. It says to start with a nice layer on the bottom, and then I will use my bigger flowers first. So get that nice and spread in there. Got a nice sunflower I'm gonna put in there, big spider mum, and I've got some yellow roses. Another one, it says to peel the petals, so if there's any bad looking stuff, we're gonna take that off first. And then ranunculus, same deal. I broke the stem off of there, but I'm gonna pull any of these dying or dead looking petals that look bad. Do that a couple more times. Same thing with this one. I also have a little Cresspedia, billy balls are gonna go down in there. These pretty much dry in place as is, so I don't think they need a lot of work. I think they're gonna turn out really nice. I have an Alstroemeria lilies. And I'm almost out of room here, but I've got a couple carnations I wanna put in there. And then it says to pour it like into each flower, try to get that good and saturated. And I believe we just cover them up completely and then try to dig them out later. So it's kind of hard to find a lot of information on this, but that's what I came up with. That's what I'm gonna do. And then we'll dig them out here in about a week and see how everything turned out. If the beads don't just crush all the flowers. These are apparently what they call rechargeable. So they said whenever they've absorbed enough moisture that they won't absorb any more, but they'll turn like a green color, and you can actually put them in an oven on like on a cookie sheet or something, and they will dry back out. So apparently rechargeable, reusable. So I would think an investment into this wouldn't be a terrible thing if you were doing this quite a bit. Or maybe you could do the smaller bag and more cycles of this to get your money's worth. So, all right, I'm gonna tape the top of this and we will see how this turns out here in about a week. All right, so get this guy going here. I think most people would have a lid. I did not have a lid, but it needed to be sealed, so duct tape was good enough. Again, things that you have at home that you can use to make this happen. So this is the first time doing this. I don't know exactly how this is gonna turn out. I have heard of other people doing this and have had good results. I've seen a couple things. So we'll see if we replicated that. I know how to get after him without...
Tanner, we're surrounded by containers.
All right, so that's the rose. It's good and dry. Man, it's got a lot of color still. I think that looks pretty good. Good and crunchy.
Put it up to your mic.
It is a little bit crunchy, but I feel pretty good about that. Yeah.
Oh, this color really good.
Yeah, it did. All right, so we got that one. Alright, so I got a box and a bag. Try to see if I can save these crystals and sift through some of this stuff.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So there is a ranunculus. Again, these are all very fragile flowers. Didn't really hold color super well. Held shape okay. I don't know if maybe if I crushed some of these with the weight of the beads, maybe I shouldn't have completely covered them. That's what the thing said to do, but I don't know, maybe some tri-liner on that if you do this at home. Looks nice for dried, but I'm not sure if I preserve that, I'd want that to keep looking that way. It's got a lot of the beads down in the petals, but get to the sunflower. That actually looks pretty good. It's good and hard, again fragile, but and maybe I should leaving them, you know, at the week mark instead of the 2 weeks would have been a better move. Keep going here. There's another ranunculus. And the shape is there. If the color would have stayed better, probably would have been pretty nice. Again, maybe there is something to only keeping them in for a week versus 2. Alstro, very delicate. Yeah, that's not really going to be usable, but it's good and dry. There's a miniature carn, kind of the same deal, man. These are just really crunchy. Probably left them for too long. There's a spider mum. I really didn't have a whole lot of hopes for that guy because it's a super delicate flower. She did better than what I thought. Lily balls, I knew these would turn out. These are pretty much dry and look exactly the same. So in the beads, I think that was a really nice one. Still kept its color. Again, the ranunculus, they're keeping shape. They might have just been buried and crushed a little bit, but they kind of lost the color. I don't know if that's specifically that orangey color. Maybe a different color would do better, but those got a little bit dried out looking. Another mini carn, again, way too dry. Lily balls are good. Nice carn coming out of there. Decent. Still a lot of beads on there. So out of all these, I think I basically have maybe 2 or 3 flowers that I would feel comfortable trying to preserve that actually look decent, that I can put in the epoxy. So we'll cut over to a smaller epoxy tray and we'll go ahead and dump some epoxy in it and see how that's gonna look. All right, so I put a few of these aside. These are not gonna work. They look too bad. I'm gonna keep the ranunculus just to kind of fill space. If it was one of those where this was my bridal bouquet, I was gonna go ahead and say we're gonna use them. They look halfway decent. I'm gonna try to just put a little bit of them together just to see how well they hold in the resin, see if the resin doesn't like make them even worse, make sure there's no bubbling, that kind of thing. We'll just see how that turns out. I've never done this. It's just a 50-50 mix. I'm gonna do a little bit of stir. I'm gonna start with pouring some resin down in here, and then I'm gonna place my flowers, and then I'm gonna put more resin on top of them, and we'll kind of just see how that all goes. I don't really know what I'm getting into, but here we go. Let's start with this guy. Get the seal off of it, maybe. I will note that it says to use gloves and a respirator and all kinds of stuff that I'm just gonna pretend I didn't read. So we want to try to mix this 50-50, so here we go. We'll start with that. Same deal here, get our cover off of it. Oh, yeah. That looks 50-50-ish to me. I'm sure there's a better way of getting, maybe measuring it. So we'll just get a nice mix. I do know that when you mix this, you're gonna end up getting bubbles in it, I think is is what I've heard or read. I don't know what the best way to mix it and not get a bubble, so see if those work their way out or if you just end up with a bubbly mess, but we will find out. All right, she's good and mixed, I guess. So this will go just give us a base, and that way I think the flowers will kind of like stick to it so they don't move around a whole lot when I try to put more resin on top of them. Should get that evenly spread through the mold. Alright, put that aside. And then we'll just make a nice little pretty little scape here. Little big ranunc up here. Sneak that in right over here. Tuck one in there. Tuck one in over here. Tuck another one right here. Put a little belly ball down here. Belly ball over here. One up over here. Gorgeous. Gosh, couldn't have done a better job myself. Had a couple of these that are sticking up pretty tall. I don't know how that's going to look if I don't get resin up above it. But yeah, we'll see how we do. All right, let's do some more mixy mix. All right, so another round of mixing. Kind of glob it on the sunflower and try to keep all my flowers in place. I think it says this is supposed to harden in about 45 minutes, something like that, 40 minutes, but I don't know, it seems pretty quick. I'll give it about 3 days or a week.
It's like 3 days. I don't know what you're doing. You throw away the other billy balls, or they're all in there?
They're all in there.
Oh, okay, cool. The forbidden cheese balls.
All right, and more. It kind of looked like a preservation fail number 2.
No, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. Why? Just because it's not all staying down?
Yeah.
It's not a fail.
A beautiful design.
Seen better.
Add to the beauty. Oh, I got
It's
chunks of stuff floating.
You're just like. Yeah, they just have somebody going in like this the entire time.
Just stabbing them in for an hour.
Oh, so I think gonna look pretty cool on the top layer. You just take it and whatever's underneath.
The videos I saw, they were all like completely submerged. So maybe you actually do it in layers. Maybe we could have done it where they're all sitting on, you know, let that harden and they harden in place, and then you add another layer later.
Probably would have been the smart idea. We could stop it now and do one more layer.
Yeah, that's what we'll do
later on.
All right, video. We're gonna let this harden, and then maybe we can add another layer. And that's what we should have done: is done less resin, let it all harden in there, and then do another layer to case it, so that way it doesn't all float to the top. So you live and you learn. We'll let this harden, and we'll go from there. All right, so back to our preservation video. This has been, I think, an additional week since last time we cut out. Here's what's kind of left. It has all hardened. I filled this to the top. You can kind of see it there. It looks okay. At this point, it's not completely hardened, and it's kind of got a really kind of a rough pattern. I'll put a couple videos of it yesterday. A little bit more on top of that. I was trying to cover up some of the kind of the shattered look. It's kind of back. I don't know after a couple days of it continuing to dry if it will clear up a little bit. I'm guessing not. So I'm not really happy with the way that all of this has turned out. So if you're looking into preservation and you have somebody that can do it, there's probably a reason that they charge a lot of money for it, and it's probably worth it. So I think that's what I'm gonna leave it with. I'm gonna maybe practice on a couple more, you know, not on camera, and maybe see if I can perfect this a little bit. But at this point, I don't feel great about what I've done, but I think once this hardens, I'll throw it up on a shelf and it might be kind of fun to look at. So that's what I've got. Appreciate you guys.